When you're ready.
Hello everyone, I'm Henry Mann, and today I'm going to be presenting to you about my learning journey over the course of the first semester of my sophomore MPX class. And I'm going to be comparing it alongside an anime film called Tokyo Godfathers. And to give you a quick summary of the plot, it's about a trio of homeless people who find an abandoned baby on Christmas Eve and intend on returning it to its parents. And the film follows Hannah, a transgender and former drag queen, Miyuki, a runaway teenager who's around our age, and Jin, a 40-something-year-old alcoholic. So earlier in the year, one of our earliest projects, we did the pencil box, and for this one I worked with Ren and Dylan. And what we had to do was choose any staff member that works here and make a custom pencil box for him. And we worked with Mr. Pasamonte, the new high school principal. And we had to schedule meetings and do everything like that and talk about what he wanted. And in the building process, late in the building process, we kind of encountered a little problem. So what we did, we built it separately. We built it this side of the pencil box first, and then this side right here, and then in the end we planned on just gluing it together. But then what we had to do to make sure that it wouldn't fall apart was to add this big, it's hard to see, but there's two planks of wood against each other. And we had to do that or else it would kind of fall apart. And we thought it could look kind of weird and kind of ugly, and we thought that Mr. Pasamonte might not like that. But in the end, we ultimately decided that we had to sacrifice appearance for functionality. So we did put that piece of plank there. And then we embraced that appropriate risk and opportunity to help solve problems. And then in the movie, while the trio are looking for some food in a pile of trash, they hear cries of a baby, and they discover that it is a baby, and accompanied with only a note that says, "Care for this child." So they take the baby back to their little cardboard box they live in, and they decide that they're going to return the baby the next morning and just care for it for the night. And then the next morning, Jin and Miyuki wake up to realize that Hannah and the baby are gone, but they're easily able to track her down because you can see the footsteps in the snow, so they're easily able to track her down. And then they find her in a park laying down with the baby, and then it's revealed that Hannah also had a pretty tough childhood. She was an orphan, and then she doesn't want the baby to be moved between foster homes because that is what would happen if they turn the baby into the police, and they want the baby to ensure that they have a loving childhood. And so they take that risk of saying, you know what, we're just going to return the baby to the parents, even though it's going to be much more risky and dangerous, but it'll be worth it if it does happen. So it's kind of like a high risk, high reward type thing, and they embrace that risk and opportunity. So yeah. Moving on, for the Zoo Banner project, we collaborated with the zoo, and we went to the zoo and we were given a little tour led by Catherine Rohn, and then we only had to observe the signs and banners of the zoo and just take notes of what they look like. And because in the classroom we're going to be making a zoo banner that raises awareness on an environmental issue or just an issue related to animals. And I worked with Dylan on this one, and then we addressed illegal animal trade and poaching. And then we had to use Photoshop, and it was pretty difficult, but we got it done. And then in the movie, after they leave the cemetery, after they got some food, they come across this man trapped under a car, and then Hannah and Jin help the man by pushing the car off him, and he's safe now. And then turns out that the guy is a super high-ranking Yakuza mob boss, and then he was on his way to his daughter's wedding. And then because Hannah and Jin helped him out, he decides to let them go to the wedding too and get some food and drinks just to relax. And yeah, so they kind of, oh shit. How do you go back?
It's on camera, bro.
Yeah, anyway. You know, they collaborated with the guy and positively impacted little peers. So yeah. And moving on, apply creativity, imagination, and problem solving. So earlier in the year, we were studying a lot about Native American culture. We were reading Flight, that book about the teenager who goes through time. It was really cool. And for this project, we had to make a past event in Native American history and how it affects a modern event that's going on right now. And we kind of were in a slump on how we were going to learn whether or not, how we were able to represent that there was an event happening in the past and then what the current issue was. So we had to apply creativity, and then I said we're going to make the top event, which is the event that happened in the past, black and white, so it represents that happened in the past, and then the bottom one in color, so it represents that it's going on now. And moving on to the movie, at the wedding there was a giant shootout between a waitress that's, or a Spanish hitman that is disguised as a waitress, and there's a big shootout, and then Hannah, Jin, and Miyuki separate. Jin and Hannah get into a big fight. They're kind of like mad at each other, so they separate. And then Jin just is drunk walking through an alley, and then he finds this old man, and then he returns into the old man to his home in the park. And then when he leaves, he's beaten up by a group of thugs. You can see here he's like collapsed and in pain, like in agony. And meanwhile, Miyuki is at the Spanish hitman's wife's house, just laying low, and Hannah searches for her, and they find it, and they reunite. And then, but they don't, and Hannah has the baby, but they don't really have any place to stay, any shelter, just to maybe eat and sleep for the night. So she has an idea where they're going to return to where she used to work at the drag club, at her former drag club, and hopefully they'll provide some hospitality. So they go to the club, and they have Hannah has a very emotional reunion with her former colleagues. And then turns out that Jin was also there, wrapped up in bandages, because when he was in a collapse in the alley, he was saved by one of the people who worked here. So that was a crazy coincidence. And then moving on, throughout the entire first semester, we've been doing a lot of reading comprehension, and part of that is doing annotations, whether it be for flight or Underground Railroad, whatever it may be. But the main purpose of it is to prepare us for the Socratic Circles, where we discuss our thoughts and some theories about what might happen later in the book and just our interpretations of it. And we're able to self-assess like what we've done in the annotation and communicate that in the Socratic Circles, and their own progress and understanding throughout the book. So, and then moving on, after they barely escape a car accident, Hannah passes out from pure shock, and then by chance, Jin runs into his daughter, who's a nurse or works there, and then they have a pretty deep conversation about how Jin regrets that he wasn't a good father. He wasn't there. He was at betting a lot and getting into all kinds of trouble with bad people. And then, but he recognizes that, and he wants to become a better man because it's too late to become a better father. And as you can see there, he says, "I was never a father to you." But then he talks about how he was saving up money, perhaps maybe for school or education, things like that. But it's too late now because they spent all that money at their hospital visit. And so he kind of self-assessed himself. He realized that he was a bad father and wasn't there all the time. He was trying to change. So that's, and then he communicated that to his daughter. Moving on, we've been working with Conaloa Bishop at the Haya Fish Pond, whether it may be moving blocks for him or fishing. We got to learn a lot about like the ecosystem there and how it works, and it was really interesting. And then in the classroom, we're making fishing lures. And then right off the bat, I didn't have any motivation to do this. I was kind of lazy. I was having some trouble, and but soon enough, I asked Jordan for help and Dylan for help, and I ended up making these lures. And within the span of like 2 classrooms, it was really good. And in the movie, after they leave the hospital, Hannah and Miyuki with the baby, they come across a lady who's about to kill herself. She's about to jump off this bridge, but then they save her just in time. And then turns out that lady is the baby's mother. So they give back the baby, and then they wave goodbye. They're really sad. And then meanwhile, Jin is talking to the husband of the lady, and then he says that the baby isn't even theirs. It's not their real baby. It's a fake. Turns out that lady stole the baby from the hospital because her baby got sick. So they get into a really epic chase. Jin chases them down with a bike, and then they climb up both these stairs up a giant building, and then she's about to kill herself, but they let her know that like it's okay, don't waste your life away like this, like kind of like making her maintain a positive mindset. And then the baby almost falls, but Hannah saves her, and they have a huge gust of wind carries up this banner that they grab on barely, and then they fall down to safety. So that's it. Thank you.
How long was that?
Like 10.
10, 14.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. Any questions for Henry about his learning or his?
Can I take this out?
Did they ever get the baby
Oh,
back
that's
to
really
like
good.
its real parents?
That was good.
Like,
What was the end of the movie?
Yeah.
Or any critique on his presentation or anything?
you could see him.
Okay,
hanging out
Jack.
with it.
Wait, what happened to the baby? Did they ever find his parents?
Yeah, they found the parents. After they got into a lot of pain, so they went to the hospital after, and then, the baby, like, was returned to its real parents. So yeah, it was happy ending.
Jackson.
It really seemed like you knew what you were talking about really, really well. The only thing I would have wished is that you looked up at us a little bit more, but that's it.
Okay.
You did a really good job explaining everything.
Thanks, guys.
Why were you unmotivated to work on the lure project?
I just I was doing the wood fishing lure first, and I kind of had some trouble, and like other people's their one looked really good, so I was kind of discouraged on making the lures, but then I just asked help, so I ended up doing good, and I maintained a positive mindset.
So from my perspective as a teacher, some teachers don't give you the time to kind of flounder like that a little bit. You know what I mean?
With flounder, it was just
Like you got frustrated,
yeah,
and then you figured it out on your own, right?
I was kind of lazy a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, kind of.
So was that opportunity important? Giving you that opportunity, the time to do that?
Yeah, it was good. I had a lot of time, luckily, or else I wouldn't have gotten anything done.
Okay.
So yeah.
Very good.
And it's-